We're going to bring Chris in first on this next one. Seth Rollins and Finn Balor for the World Heavyweight Championship. And it was Seth Rollins defeating Finn Balor with a stomp on the briefcase in 18-10. Of course, that's kind of shortening what actually happened. There was a lot of consternation in the last 2 or 3 minutes of that match, with the briefcase finally getting rolled in by Priest almost begrudgingly, and Balor didn't get the chance to use it. It was Seth Rollins who ended up stomping Balor's head on the briefcase and pinning him. Still a lot of drama with the Judgment Day, but in the end of the day, Seth freaking Rollins still the champion. Chris, your thoughts on the match and maybe what's going on with the Judgment Day? Because certainly a lot of layers to unpack from that one.
Yeah, it definitely swerved me. I had a lot of guesses right as far as who was going to win during this pay-per-view. I think a lot of it was cut and dry, but this one went the opposite direction on me. I was for sure that Balor was going to take the title and Judgment Day was just going to be champions or briefcase holders across the board, and instead now we get to watch what seems like the deterioration of Judgment Day. I don't think you could have gone wrong either way. Obviously, if Finn Balor would have won, Seth Rollins is more than capable of continuing on in another storyline or even bringing in a revenge feud back for the title. And obviously the storyline is going to go well with the Judgment Day breakdown. Overall, I think it was a great match. I think I mentioned early on I couldn't tell if there was a little bit of a sloppy opening, but due to a lot of quick camera cuts we saw, it was hard to tell if it was just camera work or them getting adjusted. But yeah, overall, great match. Love the ending. Happy to see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see where the Judgment Day goes, because I know there's been a lot of rumors about maybe Finn Balor's the next quote unquote leader of the Judgment Day that gets cast aside for somebody else. And obviously the most popular person in that group is Rhea Ripley. When she came out, the pop for her was ridiculous. And she's coming alongside the least popular person in WWE and Dominic Mysterio. So certainly makes for an interesting dynamic. Mike, your thoughts on that match?
First, just on the Mysterio and Rhea Ripley situation, I'm curious when the point's going to come where people start cheering for Dominic Mysterio because they hate him so much, kind of like the weird like reverse psychology situation where it's like, this guy's so terrible, we love that about him, and we're going to cheer now, because that I feel like there's going to come a time where that happens. But obviously Ripley's a huge star. She could easily be the leader of this group, or if they wanted to expand and bring in someone else, they could do that. My thoughts on the match, I wouldn't have had a problem with either individual winning. I think in some ways WWE kind of owes Seth Rollins, just based on how, when I think back to the Shield era, to me, he was the guy that you could put the company on his back and he could run with it. It seemed pretty evident early on that Reigns was their guy, but I thought Rollins was more the whole package. And, to think how many times he put over Cody upon his return, it's almost like this title reign. And maybe even the creation of the title was basically like saying, look, man, we appreciate what you've done. We've not always given you the best to work with, and you've excelled as much as humanly possible. And then along those same lines with Balor losing the title 7 years ago due to injury, I want to see him as a world champion again before it's all said and done.
Well, that tattoo that Michael Cole called a tattoo that was clearly paint marking the 7 years since that injury. And there were a lot of really nice callbacks in that match too, to that match 7 years ago, which was really well done. And yeah, both of those guys definitely deserve their flowers. And it was certainly a really good match. That the only downside right now to the Bloodline storyline is matches like that could main event a pay-per-view, even though I know they're calling everything a main event. And, that is what it is.
I think this is the main event.
Yeah, this is the main event.
4 main events tonight?
Yeah.
4 main events. And they're gonna count Lesnar's main event as adding to his record of number of main events. Like, dude, you went on second. The comment I made live was, I'm pretty sure Chris Jericho left WWE because they put him on second at WrestleMania. And now Brock Lesnar's wrestling second at SummerSlam, and it's a main event. You're going to have to explain that one to me, because I'm not sure I understand that. But
well, it goes right along with them kind of treating the SmackDown leading into WrestleMania like it's almost also WrestleMania. Like,
right.
Nothing has a definitive end or beginning anymore. It's perfect.
Just we continue on. So this is probably still part of SummerSlam as well, or our podcast. As far as I know. I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Until I go to bed, it's still SummerSlam.
This is Armageddon.
It could be. which, speaking of not Armageddon, but the next pay-per-view for WWE will be Payback, and we'll have a review of that one coming up in a few weeks, so make sure you check that out on the Nerdcast Empire. Rachel, your thoughts on the World Heavyweight Championship? What's next for Seth freaking Rollins? Is it Damian Priest, which seems like could be, or does Damian Priest and Finn Balor have to deal with their issues and maybe somebody else is in line for Rollins' championship in the short term?
Well, I think you're right. I think Damian Priest eventually will go against Seth Rollins. If not in a real match, he'll eventually cash in, or at least attempt to cash in on Seth Rollins. I think that's the route they're going to go with that. I had Finn Balor win in tonight, too. I really wanted to see that 7-year storyline, which really wasn't meant to be the storyline. Obviously, Finn Balor didn't mean to get hurt 7 years ago, but I expected that to be the outcome. I picked him last pay-per-view, too, or premium live event. Didn't work out for me, but good match. I love Seth Rollins too. I think he's, like Mike said, he hasn't been given his due because of everything that's gone on and everyone else being involved in the company too. And like he lost to Cody many times. But yeah, I wasn't going to be upset really either way. I think they always put on a good match.
And a few notes about that when we talk about our picks. You too can make picks. Pro Wrestling Scorecards is where you can do that. And eventually we'll open up a group for all of our listeners as well if they want to pick against us for these pay-per-views. Rachel was the winner tonight by 1 point, barring any late night scoring changes that might pop in there. But it's always a lot of fun and gives you another way to enjoy the pay-per-views by scoring the event as you go.
Yeah, I just had a couple other points regarding this match. I think the Balor storyline, it's bad enough that he had lost the title because of the injury, but you almost felt like there was this brief moment where Triple H was able to convince Vince and anyone else that Balor was top tier, and as a result of what happened, he just lost that and was never able to regain it. So you kind of feel like he needs that revalidation again to say, yeah, we do believe you're on top of this industry. And as far as Priest goes, the kind of nonchalant toss the briefcase in the ring, to me, it just tells me he wanted Balor to get his title shot out of the way so it can be in the rear view, and now he can focus on cashing in and not have to worry about who he might be cashing in on. So even if it's not a full blown, we want you out of the group, I think it's like dude, you had your chance a couple times, get out of the way.
And it kind of makes you wonder if Balor will then get in the way of a potential cash in because he continues to be bitter, because that bitterness isn't going away based on how that all turned out tonight. And maybe now his bitterness has turned toward his group mate instead of to Seth Rollins.
Exactly.